Hello and welcome to Gar1onriva's Top 5s. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 Arknights guard operators. For those who don't know, Arknights is a gacha tower defense game that I've been obsessed with for almost 2 years. I log on literally every day, and a large part of that is the characters. Usable characters are divided into various classes. Guards are the largest category and the best at close combat. They're often the second wave of deployments, holding the line and taking out key targets. 3 things to remember. First of all, these are my personal opinions, so please don't tell me I'm wrong. 2, this is limited to EN or global operators only. Please don't spoil CN only operators. And 3, these are based on design, how they play, some of their backstory, and just personal preference. Number 5. Flint. I don't much like brawlers, as they blur the line between vanguards and guards. That said, the story and ideas around Flint make her a standout for me. The first thing that drew me to her was her recently released outfit. Before then I just wasn't really paying attention, but it's beautiful. I had her as my assistant for a while, and then noticed some voice lines she had about flowers. Turns out she really likes flowers. As up to that point I assumed she was just about the punching, which is sort of how she came across in her debut event. Finding out her love of flowers gave her a depth I didn't expect. She also shares traits with a Vanguard Plume due to being a Liberi who relies on speed to account for a lack of physical strength. Most Arknights operators have a hidden depth like this, but I find Flint's unusually touching and surprising. I still barely use her, but I like her. Number 4. Moose. Moose is adorable. And you know I just said about hidden depths? Moose's mysteries are very obvious but unanswered. She's clearly based on a cat, but she has 2 tails. Her files talk about hand mutations, but she always covers them with fake claws. Those aren't her mutated hands. She keeps pet kitties, but they're confirmed not to be cats. Along with all of these questions, she is, as I mentioned, adorable. Her uniform is cute, her art is pretty, and she's also a very good arts guard. When I need an attack boost in a level or a vital debuff to the enemy, Moose is a good bet. Also, this is a side note, for the longest time I thought her name was Mouse. I just didn't read it properly, and I thought, oh, it's funny that they named a cat operator after a mouse, but then, it's just because she's a baker, and that it fits a lot better, and it's good. Number 3. Estelle. Another operator in whom I found endearing hidden depth. Estelle really seems like she needs a hug. Central to her character is a deep nervousness and perhaps shame regarding her giant horns. As a mutation caused by the disease Rhodes Island exists to fight, she is very self-conscious of the horns and often withdraws from others because of them. This withdrawal and occasional depression is portrayed effectively and makes her all the more lovable. It's also nice to see the artist use her E2 art to tell a little character arc for her. In her E1 art she looks nervous and hesitant, but in her E2 she seems happier. She's also swapped her combat attire for a white dress which looks more relaxed. And I love the aesthetic of a white dress. I just wish it was reflected on the chibi. I really feel E2 art should be, but sadly it's not. Estelle is a rare case of her character directly tying into the gameplay, but sadly it rather weakens her, making her unable to be healed by medics when using one of her skills. Despite this, and the fact that she's only a 4-star, she is my go-to AoE guard. I stick to her first skill though. Less of a boost to her damage, but at least I can heal her. Number 2. Scardy. If I do a top 5 about Arknights designs, expect to see Scardy on that list. It's a bit hard to pin down exactly what I love about her design. The mix of colours is understated but effective, and her hat is iconic. Her sword is fancy and her eyes are piercing. Add that she's loosely based on the killer whale, one of my favourite animals growing up, and has a cool name. Despite Arknight's power creep preferring high arts damage compared to Scardy's physical damage, I still rely on her incredible damage and attack when I need something dead. I tend to use her second skill, allowing her to drop in, destroy, and drop out. And side note, I love her casual idle pose. And second side note, I love that she uses a stuffed or inflatable orca as a weapon for her summer outfit. I'm not usually a fan of silly weapons like that, but something about it tickles me. And all of this is without even mentioning the fantastic mysteries about her background and character. Before the recent event shed some light on her character, she was one of the biggest unanswered questions in the game. There are still numerous things that we don't know, chief among which is how she seems to be virtually immune to the disease ravaging the Arknights world, but discussion on that is best saved for another video. And finally, number 1, Sidoroka. Sidoroka? Sidoroka. Sidoroka? Is probably Sidoroka, based on the Greek word sidero, but if anyone can cite a definitive source, I'd appreciate it. Anyway, she's my favourite. I admit I was looking forward to her release for a while, but between her art, her attitude and her playstyle, she almost immediately became a favourite of mine. Not dwelling on any particular aspects, I think she's really cute. Her security guard-esque uniform is effective and her absurdly big sword is delightful. Her E2 art is among my favourite art in the entire game, something I cannot say for Exusier. She's also somewhat water-themed, which seems to be an aesthetic I like. As for her attitude, she is incredibly focused. They could have made her a generic working for money mercenary, but instead they gave her a drive and devotion that set her apart for me. Her commitment to her cause is so strong that it actually alienates those around her who don't want to deal with it, and that's sad. She's just trying to do her best, but to the exclusion of all else. Finally, her playstyle. She's another arts guard, but sacrifices attack for survivability. Between her high health and her regeneration, she can hold a lane all on her own. I've had her go toe-to-toe with some of the toughest enemies without backup and win. As useful as Moose's high attack and debuffs are, she definitely needs backup. So yeah, I like how she plays, her character is compelling, and I appreciate her design. Sidoroka, best guard. And that is all for my list. Please comment below with your favourite Arknights guard operators, as well as suggestions for future top or bottom 5s. I'll be doing more Arknights lists, so which class would you like to hear about next? I've already done a top 5 Vanguards list, which is linked in the description, but which class would you like to hear about next? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you later.